talk with me, Miss Laine. I am a librarian at the Columbus Public Library, and I am going to talk to you today about some books on the government and political figures and all the things that you need to know to be a citizen. Yay, citizenship. So, the first thing that we're going to talk about is how it works. So I've got some books about how the government works that start to early elementary school and then kind of go up into YA to really get into the nitty-gritty details. So let's take a look. Okay, so first up is some books on the different parts of our government. So we have House of Representatives, the Senate, the state government, a mayor, what's a jury, and these are all that you can find in our children's department. And you can see we have quite a collection on these. These have been recently reordered, so they are up to date. And this is just a really brief overview of how our government works and the different parts that keep it moving. And then if you kind of wanted to elevate it just a little bit, books like these go into a little bit more detail about specific parts of the government that they deal with. So what's the issue? Student rights, taxes. So these are a little bit more detailed and they kind of focus it in just a little bit. So to start, we have very broad explanations of what everything is, and then some key issues that get brought up most frequently. And then you have books like this that are in our teen department. This is a YA book about the winners and the losers and how elections work, which is pretty relevant right now, but it's always relevant because elections happen at least every 2 years, and it's good to know how the process works. And this is a very detailed book. Obviously, it's very detailed. But the cool thing about reading nonfiction is you don't have to read the whole thing start to finish. You can just flip to the most relevant parts by searching for your keywords right in the back. And this is how you'll do when you are researching. There will be an index, and you can search keywords. So if you were looking at a particular issue, like we've got the American Revolution, it'll tell you which page you flip to, and you can do more research on that particular topic. So this is a very much research material. If you were in a class and you were looking for specific key issues, this is where you start. You start with a book like this and you narrow it down. So these come narrowed down for you in a very broad general explanation. And then you get this bad boy, and then you can pop on to some deep research. Another one in the YA department that is really cool, and this was recommended to me by a librarian in our teen department. This is Fault Lines in the Constitution, and it's actually a graphic novel. So this is all your politics and how it got started, told in graphic novel format, which is so freaking cool. I love it. So this is a bit more accessible, whereas this one is very much research-driven, winners and losers. And this one is about your Constitution told in a very accessible way. So this is super friendly. If you need a brush up on how our Constitution works, how it was formed, how it was written, Fault Lines in the Constitution, a graphic novel, is so cool. And it has some really neat illustrations. It's a little dense, but if you were kind of elevating up into your more YA or really learning about the details, this is a fun way to get them. Okay, and up next we're going to talk about key figures and how to learn about them. So key figures are often told in biography form, and if you know what biography means, good for you, and if you don't, it just means it is a book written about a particular person. So in the children's department, I order biographies because they're so much fun. And we have really neat picture book biographies, tons of them, that are really bright and cheerful. And honestly, as an adult, this is how I get most of my information, because they are riddled with information, condensed down into something that's very understandable. So this is about old Greta, and she is obviously an environmental scientist, well, activist. And this is a picture book about her. We have one that was recently ordered on Pete Buttigieg and how he became mayor. And of course, these are just really fun ways to learn about figures that you hear in the news or hear people talk about And if you're even an elementary student, these are what you'll most likely be reading, and they're fantastic. And if you just wanted to have a quick overview of somebody, picture books are like a legit way to do that. Picture books. If you're looking to elevate your biographies, the Who, What, When, Where, Why series is my all-time favorite. It's my go-to nonfiction for that middle grade, early elementary. This is awesome. This is Who Was Richard Nixon. And of course, you hear about these people a lot. You hear about historical figures, you hear about relevant figures in like right now, current times. And the Who Was series is one of those series that stay on top of current events and do a good job covering the past events. You can get books on what was the World Trade Center. You can get books on what was the Holocaust. So these things that you hear about or maybe have studied in school that you want to explore just a little bit more deeply, the Who, What, When, Where, Why series is fantastic, and we have them everywhere on a load of topics and on a load of figures. So this is just one example. These are also chapter books, but they're very accessible too. They're super reader friendly, meaning that they're not hard to read or to understand. You just pick them up and kind of go. So this is a really great way to get an overview that's a little bit more in depth than what a picture book will offer you. And of course we have so many of them, so they're super fun. And then if you jumped straight into YA, you have these super cool comp books, which are dense books about a huge movement. So this is the battle for women's right to vote, and you have very in-depth, analyzed topics. And again, if you didn't want to read this start to finish, which would be a bit of work, but I mean, go for it if you want. You flip to your index and you find the topic that most interests you, and you flip to that page or section and you get the understanding of that particular topic you want. So if you started at biographies, a picture book biography, and you wanted to learn more about a particular thing that you heard in that, you could of course explore it in our middle grade section or our young adult section. And this one is just a particularly attractive book. I just really like the way it looks, but also the way it's formatted. I liked their chapters. They're small. Let me show you, because this is just really cool, and it's about a single figure. And this one is on politicians, women politicians. And of course, like, the chapters are very thin. They're just about that one person, so it's almost encyclopedia formatted, where you have a particular person and all of their subsections, and you can get a really brief overview of that person in a larger picture. And of course, your index works the same way, and you have footnotes in the back, which are just really informative. So if you are looking to expand your worldview on particular figures, we have got you covered in so many ways. Okay, and we'll start them. Next! Okay, these next books are very specific books. One is going to be for your more middle grade-esque, and then the other is going to be more YA research-based, but have a general understanding of the topic. So this one is called Civics, Democracy Rules, which it does. So this one is about understanding how things work. This is actually a YA book, but I think it really does appeal to just about anyone, honestly. The way this book is formatted makes this one of my go-to new recommendations for understanding the basics of your citizenship. This is told in picture form, and they have like the cutest illustrations. I mean, look! How cute that is! I love it. Not only that, it's super informative. So this is the Constitution, and you have the bullet points of the Constitution and what it means. This is the Constitutional Crew, and this is how it was written. And then you have, again, the bullet points at the bottom and a little picture to remember it by. And it's super cute. I mean, the details in the pictures are great because it really illustrates the point. So if you're studying for your civics class, this is like hitting those highlights in a way that you remember. Amazingly well formatted book. I love this. This is accessible for anyone. If you're a parent looking to teach your kid about citizenship, if you are a middle grade student just learning about what everything is, if you were a YA person studying for a class, this is it. This is Civics, Democracy, Rules, and it's Basher, created by Basher. And of course, they have the U.S. presidents and the states and countries books as well. So this is a series of books, and it is spectacular. I just love the way this is broken up. And it's even like color coded, so you can see which parts of the government and civics you're talking about. So they're kind of color coded. This is a study guide that doesn't feel like you're studying. I mean, this is just perfection. All right, moving on to what is clearly my favorite book in this conversation. This one is a really cool YA book. This is a topic that I feel very strongly about being a librarian, that as long as you can research it, your opinions are valid, you know? But being on social media and navigating a world that's in the internet, it's hard to see what is someone is just saying stuff and what is actual fact and truth. And finding that balance is hard, and it's something that kids have to go through, it's something that teens have to go through, and it's something that adults do every day. And learning those skills very young, practicing those skills when you're in school, and using them when you're a grown-up is vital. I mean, it's very important. And this is not something that every generation has had to do. So learning how to do it is kind of relatively new. This one is a young adult book that's on this topic, but of course we have one and it is checked out. So this is called The CIA's Analyst Guide to Spotting Fake News, True or False. I think that if you can get your hand on any book that is about fact-checking and learning how to sort through information, is going to be a good way to learn about citizenship, because then it's an important part of your citizenship. So the first step that you can do in fact-checking is, of course, knowing what you need to know. So all of these books that we just talked about, we have at the library, and they're a great way to learn the foundations of our government, how it works, your part to play in it, and that'll help you learn how to fact-check later. So if you have any questions, or if you have any recommendations to give to us about books you've read lately about our government and how it works, let us know what you learned from them. I'm really excited, and just let us know if you need help exploring this awesome, awesome realm of your life. And good day, citizens.